Good morning and welcome to the morning report here on Fight Back Media. We appreciate you being here. We've got three stories that we want to cover this morning, and you have to give me a minute to calm down. I just came from the barbershop, and normally my barbershop, as you can see, I look good. My barbershop is a sort of it's been sort of it's a political a political DMZ, which frankly, I gotta tell you, I like. I like that my barbershop has been, up until today, a political DMZ. It wasn't to start with, but it's been that way for a couple of years, and I really appreciate it because, frankly, I appreciate the break. I like to go to the barbershop and get my hair cut and sit quietly for a while, maybe watch, a little sports on the TV. I like that. I like that I don't have to pay attention. I like that I don't have to be on guard. I like that. Now, some of y'all don't. Y'all like to be in the fray and battling and supposedly sharpening your sword all the time. I think that my brain and my spirit and my mind have to rest. And I like, you know, getting a shave and getting the hot towel and oh my God, I just love it. I mean, we don't, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go to bars, I don't go to clubs. You know what? I don't go to the dog track or high lie or horse race. I don't go to strip clubs. So I don't have really many things outside of the joy and love of my family that I experience. Really, I just work, come here and do this. So I really like that I can go to the barbershop and chill out. I just like it. But this morning, there was a gentleman who came into the shop who asked my barber about the impeachment proceedings of the president. I got to tell you up front, this is a black barber. This is a black barber shop. Although when I got there was a white dude getting his hair cut and getting his beard trimmed. So they'll cut if you've got hair. My barber shop will cut it, um, or trim it, or style it, or whatever. But anyway, it's predominantly black. It's a predominantly black barbershop, and he and another of the people who were waiting just went on and on about how Trump is the devil and racism and how Adam Schiff with those big eyes was going to solve it all and become the savior of the world, and how the Democrats are doing their job, trying to impeach the president. So and what did I say during that whole time? Nothing. I didn't say a word. I sat in the chair. I was getting my hair cut. I was getting my beard trimmed a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Getting all that taken care of. I didn't say anything. Didn't say a word. While now this is going to hit the people who are from Florida really heavy. These older black men who are extolling the virtues of someone like Charlie Crist. You get me? Charlie frickin' Crist. You're like, Charlie Crist? Yes. Oh, I like Charlie Crist. Why? Because he's a Democrat. You ain't like him when he was a Republican. Basically saying uh, the same thing. Basically saying the same thing he was saying before, right? But in any case, so I just tried to, I just sat quietly. It's funny. My barber said he could feel my my breath changing, and he could feel my heart racing. But I knew I had to come here and do this, so it was cool. So we're going to cover three stories today. The first story we're going to cover is an impeachment story from the Federalist website. Here's what it's about. Democrats, and the title of the article is "Democrats Concede That Their Impeachment Argument Is Failing." Now we talked about this. We've been talking about this for weeks. This particular argument was weak to start with, and falling flat, which means a couple of things. They'll either continue to go forward in this thing, or they'll try out something else in the meantime. It's kind of how they do. We're also going to talk about immigration. We're going to talk about that, and my computer is locking up. This is probably not going to work. We're going to talk about that immigration, illegal immigration, crossings at the border are dwindling. The wall has not been built, not the wall that everyone is thinking about, but paying attention to the southwestern border has, and dealing with Mexico in a tough way, border crossings are dwindling. Because we have to, it's interesting that we don't understand that we have to deal with some of these people around the world in a stringent, in a tough way. You got to be tough with those, folks. You can't be nice to everybody, because a lot of these countries they don't have any respect for people who are, quote, nice to them. They consider that weakness, and they don't believe that you will do what you say you'll do, because the United States have, for its history, especially history in the past 100 years, have not done, especially because of public pressure, what they say they were going to do. They bend and kowtow and try to be, the nice ones, the pleasant ones, all that stuff. So it seems to be problematical. But now this dude, this cat, Trump, is something else. He's a whole different thing. So we're going to talk about border crossings dwindling, and we're also going to talk about, if you saw the Cleveland Browns v. Pittsburgh Steelers game last night, you saw a Browns win. Browns go to 4-6, and Steelers go to 5-5, I guess. But that wasn't the big thing. The big thing was that there was a fight at the end of the game with like 8 seconds to go, something stupid like that. And Cleveland Browns player Myles Garret gets into a scuffle with the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers and rips his helmet off of his head, the Steeler helmet, and hits the quarterback in the head with it. Boom. Out, bang, boom, boom, out go the lights. And then pretty much takes a beat down from the offensive lineman of the Steelers. There are going to be fines, because there's rules against coming off the bench, and there were players coming off the bench, and it was just a melee. It was awful. We won't talk about that. There's a lot of opinion back and forth about it. Most of it, for me, it's stupid. I don't care. Well, y'all know me, but anyway. So we're going to talk about those three things as we do our program today. We appreciate you. We appreciate that you are with us this morning here on the Morning Report. All right, let's go ahead and get with it. Let's go ahead and get with the impeachment hearings, because there's some scuttle going on. Scuttle. We all love scuttle. We all love hot topics, right? This is CNN reporting this, that in a private meeting this week, top Democrats are conceding that the polls on impeachment are unlikely to shift, and their basic message is failing to break through for huge swaths of America. Well, we talked about it here yesterday and the day before, that when the president goes to the World Series game in Washington, in the Washington, and inside the Beltway in the bubble, he gets booed and all those things happen. However, when he goes to the LSU Alabama game out here in America with the rest of us, it is a friggin' Trump rally, right? And if you look at the polls concerning is anybody watching this stuff, the fact of the matter is that nobody's watching this stuff. The fact of the matter is that nobody gives a crap. Nobody believes that any of it's real, so nobody believes any of it, so they're not watching. So the message, the alarm that they're trying to ring is falling flat. So the ultimate goal of taking the president out of office is not going to be achieved. This is what they decided in this meeting. The reason this would, excuse me, the reason this would mean game over for removal efforts is that only a significant uptick for impeachment in polling, especially among Republicans who have been rock solid in support of Trump, could lead GOP votes to convict the Senate. Well, see, this is how they operate. They think that somehow public opinion trumps, no pun intended, law. This is why you hear so much about. This is exactly why you hear so much about. There was a petition that we need a petition, a petition, a petition. We need to get. We need to go to change.org because public opinion is and because it works for them, driving law. Well, public opinion shouldn't drive law. Law is the law, no matter what people's opinion is. You get what I'm saying? That really should be the deal. It is not public opinion. It's not public pressure of Republicans on Republican senators to ignore the law, to ignore due process because we think or we feel, because that's what kind of democracy is. It's mob rule. And so the Democrats don't see that happening with Republicans. And for me, that's encouraging. It's encouraging the fact that that's not how we play. No, if you're going to put somebody on trial for something, anything really, you better damn well have proof, not just feelings, not just you don't like him. I mean, we're back to what we were talking about 3 years ago. You can't impeach the guy because you don't like him. You can't impeach the guy because you wanted the other person to win. That's not enough for impeachment. Sorry, it's just not enough. You can't impeach him because you think he's a racist. Did you know that racism is not illegal? You can't impeach him because you think he's a racist. You can't. It's not enough. Now, you can vote against him because you think he's a racist. You can. And if you believe he's a racist, I suggest that you do just that. That you do your best and you vote against him in 2020 next year. And that you get your friends to do the same thing. Because you don't need any proof for your own vote. You need proof to impeach somebody because it's a legal proceeding. It's not a popularity thing. It's a legal proceeding. One of the things that made my blood pressure shoot up a little bit was that this morning at the barbershop, that one of the gentlemen who started the conversation basically said that Adam Schiff and the Democrats were holding up the Constitution. Was that the same Constitution that Barack Obama mentioned was sometime problematical because it got in the way of what they wanted to do? Huh? Anyway, yeah. Adam Schiff is holding up the Constitution. He's a constitutionalist. Adam Schiff is somehow a patriot. It was everything I could do to sit in that chair. Everything I could do to finish my haircut. Everything I could do. It took every bit of self-control not to say anything. Not to just primal scream. I didn't. My barber finished my haircut and my shave, and I got up and I paid him and I got the hell out of there. And my last comments as I was leaving was, gentlemen, have a good day. Which is what I say every day when I leave the barbershop. Every time I go. I always say, gentlemen, have a good day. Because mostly it's just guys in there. So it's okay to say, gentlemen, have a good day. What happens if there's a lady in there? Then I say something like, I don't know, hey, everybody have a good day now. Everybody be well. That's what I do. So in any case, I told you I should have probably waited, but there you go. The Democrats they know now that this thing, this Shciff Show, and I won't say the other phrase, and you know what I'm saying, is just that. It's a Shciff Show, and it's failing because you don't care, you don't believe it, and the evidence that they have is weak. And that first, oh my God, that first thing with Jim Jordan and Ambassador Taylor is just devastating for the left. Absolutely devastating. Absolutely ridiculously devastating. Where there was 3 meetings, the first 2 meetings, and no linkage was discussed when they had meetings with Zelensky. None. When supposedly there was, and this was after the conversation on the phone, after the conversation, where Zelensky wasn't even aware that aid was being held up, wasn't even aware. And the third meeting, where ostensibly he knew, that he never mentioned that he was going to do anything. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And Ambassador Taylor, as the first witness that was supposed to be dropping bombshells, dropped nothing. Dropped a turd. A big fat turd. Wasn't their star witness. He even said he didn't want to be their star witness. Because normally you open with bombshells, right? You open these proceedings with haymakers, right? Bang, 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 irrefutable stuff. There is no irrefutable stuff. Democrats will have to go out there and pick up that challenge flag, because their challenge is going to be overturned. Now, what they may do is they may go ahead and file, because they have the advantage number-wise. They may go ahead and file for articles of impeachment against the president. They may do just that. I'm of the mind that what won't happen is that it won't go anywhere in the Senate. There is no legal time limit for the Senate to. By the way, let your friends know, let your acquaintances know, there is no legal time limit for the Senate to take up that case if they choose to at all. They could take it up right away, which they may do. They may take it up right away because they know they have, the whip will run around and make sure, do we have votes for acquittal? And the idea may be yes. And the idea is yes, we have votes for acquittal. They may take it up right away and push the issue, which will drive the Democrats crazy. Because they'll take it up. I mean, they may take it up the week afterwards, and push through all this stuff, and then have the vote to acquit and be done with it in less than 2 weeks. That's one strategy. Or they may just let it sit. I don't know which they'll do, if it gets that far, and it may not even get that far. It may not even get that far. So in any case, that's where that is. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on the border. Let's see here. And my computer is. I might have to do this with 2 computers. You know what I'm saying? If you guys who are out there want to pitch in. Now, I like my HP 2000, and I'll get another one just like it. One doing, the taping and the recording, and the other for my notes and the like. We're going to go ahead and talk about what's going on in the southwestern border, And this article is from the Daily Caller. Judges they used to. Anybody else? Anybody else getting that? And I know that people are thinking that Drudge is going left. Um, I'm starting to think that that that's probably it more than anything. However, there you go. So I have been using the Liberty Daily as a news aggregate. So this item is from the Daily Caller. Uh, Mark Morgan, the acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, spoke at the White House on Thursday, yesterday, to discuss the latest month's border apprehension numbers. October saw roughly 42,000 apprehensions. That's a lot, isn't it? 42,000 people caught at the border. But that was a drop from the previous month and the lowest number this calendar year, demonstrating that the immigration crisis is continuing to wane. The procedures and processes that this administration has put in place is slowing down the flow of illegal immigrants. For the first time in 18 months, the majority of those apprehended were Mexican nationals and single adults, not migrant families from the Northern Triangle. The caravans have gotten the word. The caravans have gotten the word, and the people who put the caravans together, they seem to have gotten the word as well. Just because you show up with some kids doesn't mean that you're getting in. Doesn't mean that someone will pat you on the head and send you into the guts of the country and say, "Oh yeah, meet us back here in 6 months." That's not happening anymore. The Trump administration maintains that the immigration crisis is still ongoing, while the latest border apprehension numbers suggest that the slate of new policies have helped subdue the emergency. It's still a big deal, but it's getting handled. Mark Morgan, the acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, again held a White House press conference Thursday to discuss the latest numbers. And like I said, it's really a monumental drop from last month. Things are starting to improve. Border Patrol agents and other CBP officials made just over 42,000 apprehensions in October, and that's a 14% decrease from September, and a 70% decline from the month of May. 70% decline. Are you kidding me? So we're talking about that there were 500,000 people. The apprehensions must have been incredible. And still, not a single piece of meaningful legislation has been brought forward as a result. This country stood by and watched the crisis as we reached our peak in May of 140,000 apprehensions in a single month, which completely is the Overton syndrome that overwhelms the system. No legislation. Why? Because they're trying to impeach the president. However, in the absence of congressional action, the president, along with his administration, as well as hardworking men and women of the Customs and Border Patrol and our partner agencies, have taken action, he continued. Today, we are approaching this as a regional crisis that is, and we are seeing incredible success. The significant drop in monthly apprehensions is also evident in the day-by-day enforcement actions. At the height of the crisis, Morgan said the CBP officials were detaining over 5,000 immigrants in a single day. Currently, that average has dropped to just over 1,300. It was incredible. Migrants can no longer expect to be allowed into the interior of the United States based on fraudulent asylum claims. What did I just say? That these policies are, the word's getting back that you don't show up with your, with a woman and some kids and get tossed into the guts of the country. That's not happening anymore, and that's getting back to the people who are organizing the caravans. More importantly, we're sending the message to criminal organizations to stop exploiting these migrants. Those are the people who are organizing the caravans for their profit-making schemes. Another notable change in the current apprehension numbers are the demographics. For over a year, the immigration crisis at the border was fueled by migrant families from a region of Central America made up of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. They call that the Northern Triangle. October marked the first time in 18 months where the majority of apprehensions and inadmissible aliens were made up of Mexican nationals, of single adults, people who are Mexican just walking to the border. This is a huge change. This is a huge change, and it's because of some of the internal policies, and it's because of the work that the president has done with the president of Mexico. That's what's led to this. Is there work to do? But most certainly, there's still lots and lots of work to do, but it's getting done. And the left wants to impeach the president. The Democrats are hell-bent on impeaching the president. And some of these people are just going along because, frankly, they don't know what else to do. All right. Last night on Thursday Night Football, now I know a lot of my friends who are listening to this have sworn off football because of Colin Kaepernick and kneeling and all that stuff. And while completely ignoring that the NFL does a pretty doggone good job when it comes to salute to service and saluting American service people, and they have for a while, It's pretty doggone good. Some of the coverage they have, and the stories they tell, I enjoy them. However, so I know you've sworn the NFL off, and you've reclaimed that time, and you think that's the best thing in the world, and that's fine because you can do whatever the hell you want. I don't really care. However, there was a game last night. The games are still going on, They're still going on, and the NFL is still making money, and so are the players, all of them. However, at the end of the Cleveland Brown Pittsburgh Steelers game, which used to be a huge rivalry in that division. For those of us who are football fans and still watch, you remember Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati. Who else was in that division? You remember Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and I can't remember the fourth team in that division. Isn't that terrible? Because I'm old. But anyway, huge rivalry games, especially Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Two blue-collar cities just going at it, basically. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, bang, 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 bang. So anyway, at the end of that game, with about 8 seconds to go or so, there was a confrontation, and the most heinous thing that came out of it was that Cleveland player Myles Garret was in a tussle with the backup quarterback for Pittsburgh, and managed to rip his helmet off his head, and then used it to thunk him in the head with. Myles Garret grabs the helmet of the Pittsburgh quarterback and hits him in the head with it. Yeah, it was terrible, and you will see it on TV if you watch it because it's kind of hard to avoid. And they show it in super slow mo, so you see the moment when the quarterback gets hit in the head with a helmet that his eyes sort of go back on his head, and he just loses it, and he's out. This bang bang, out go the lights. Now people are calling for everything from lifetime suspensions to jail time for Myles Garret. You know, it's interesting that that happened in that game because in the pregame, um, the NFL Network showed a clip of Terry Bradshaw getting tackled while in a game against Cleveland Browns, where he is basically suplexed, it's a wrestling move, on to his head and was taken off the field on a stretcher. Terry said that he basically couldn't feel his extremities for like 24 hours. But then Terry came back to play football because that's kind of how we used to do it. Um, and the only thing that happened in that particular case was that the offending player caused a 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness. Nobody went to jail. Nobody was threatened to go to jail. I know we've heard that if that happens on the street, you hit somebody over the head with a helmet on the street, you're going to get jail time. Well, if you walk up to somebody on the street and suplex them on their head and damn near paralyze them, you're going to go to jail too. But it ain't on the street. The idea is that in hockey, fights take place where people punch each other in the head until somebody's knees buckle and it goes to the ice, and then it gets broken up, and then both players go and sit quietly in the penalty box for 5 minutes. So fighting is a 5-minute major. There are proponents of fighting that says it gets that out of their system, and it's just part of the game. I don't think you can hit people over the head with a helmet. That's a shot to the head, which is already illegal, which is, and in college football, it'd be called targeting, right? When you use your helmet to hit their head, right? It would be targeting. That's the sign, targeting. So that would already be illegal. And in this particular instance, there was a fight. So if Myles Garret gets suspended for the rest of the season, or even into the preseason next season, okay. But jail time and all this hubbub. I mean, this 24/7 coverage on ESPN. Are you serious? Are you serious? As far as I'm concerned, Cleveland is one of those teams that has completely underachieved this year, and gets more talk about things that don't happen that have to do with football than the things that actually have to do with football. So you're going to hear about that crap today too. All right, listen, we got to get out of here, maybe for somebody else. So until we see you again, I want you to go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. If you are interested in anything we're doing here, please send me an email at wls860@gmail.com. wls860@gmail.com. Thank you ever so much.